actually, that was for Jimmy Hart and Hulkster. I mean, Jimmy Hart saw me here in Tampa, and I wasn't working, and he asked me why I went into WWF, and I said, well, I really wasn't sure what I'd be. I mean, it's everybody's a character up there. I mean, it's not, there's one guy, it's a wrestler, and that's Hulkster. So everybody else is something, big boss man. I mean, there wasn't, but I sat around in the dressing room, we're all dressed. I mean, so I wasn't sure how that whole thing worked. And then I killed 15 alligators in the first harvest here in the state of Florida where we were allowed to kill alligators. And so I took a bunch of pieces of alligators. I took a hide, a skull, a paw. I took some other stuff up to Vince, and when I went to meet with him, I laid it on his desk, and I said, well, I just killed 15 alligators. I don't know if there's something I could do off of that. But anyway, so he just said, well, go home and get rid of that blonde hair, and let your hair grow out natural, and do more of a beard, and don't keep it cut clean. Let it grow. And then a couple months later, I came back up, and he introduced me to Skinner. It was funny because he says to me, he goes, "You see the movie Deliverance?" And I go, "Yeah, I love that movie." And he goes, "I want you to be one of those guys." Well, I'm thinking Burt Reynolds. I mean, who Deliverance am I going to be? I'm one of the fabulous ones. I'm going to be Burt Reynolds. And I go, "You want me to get a vest and a bow and arrow or anything?" He goes, "Oh, no, you got the wrong guy. First of all, you remember the two guys in the woods with Ned Beatty, and the one guy says, 'Hey, boy, you got a right pretty mouth.' He goes, 'I want you to be one of those guys.'" It was tremendous. It was the most fun I ever had. I love being Skinner. I mean, my interviews went from 0 to 100. On a regular interview, I couldn't put two words together. When I was Skinner, I was imitating the redneck out of the Everglades. That was a piece of cake, and it was good. I mean, I was laughing because I thought I was even funny sometimes. So, I mean, then the work. The only thing about my work was I worked the first few matches I had. Vince pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you can't be doing a go behind takedown. You're from the Everglades. You only know how to wrestle an alligator. Cut your wrestling down. You're out wrestling everybody." So I had to kind of like taper down my style a little bit, but hey, it don't matter to me, just pay me.
That's a great point. I was actually going to ask that because you had some great matches with Bret Hart. I definitely want to get to that in a second, but that look, with the tobacco and spitting on the opponent, I think a lot of it on TV translated really well because of the way Gorilla Monsoon always portrayed you when you would be in the ring, and he would be saying how disgusted he was to look at you. Did you feel like that aspect of it with the tobacco and just made really, the fans just were disgusted by the look of Skinner with that jaw just hanging out of his mouth?
Well, I had to add a few things. I added that part myself, and it was licorice. What happened was I realized how divided the country was. In the northeast part of the United States, from Detroit on, there isn't a babyface fan. You couldn't buy a babyface fan. All the fans are heel fans. When I come out as Skinner, they cheered me. Boston Gardens, they stood up. I'd be wrestling Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or Kerry Von Erich, and they're going, "Skinner, Skinner." So I had to turn them, and I knew I wasn't getting paid to get cheered. So when I did the licorice and let it run out of my mouth, or I'd spit on them when I walked by them, I mean, I had a little bit of a turn, but then it kind of backfired on me because people started showing up dressed like me. And then it was okay every place else in the country. I mean, easy to be the heel any place, but, Philly, that's a rough crowd. And when you came out, I mean, I can remember coming out going, "I'd give you anything for you all to boo me." I mean, this is not working the way, I mean, and of course, I still had a little entertainment value when I made moves. Sometimes I danced, and that didn't help because they liked that. So, anyway, but it was a fun character. It was easy. Just, I was getting more mature at that time and started to feel the bumps and bruises. And those rings in the WWF were unbelievably hard when I first went there. I don't know who built them, but I remember taking my first tackle and rolling out and rolling up under the ring to see who put it together. I wanted to see what the hell was that. I thought I'd hit the floor. So it got to be a point where I didn't do as hard of matches, and I didn't have, like, the passion. I mean, you know, my flame for my passion faded from there. Then I went to WCW when Turner was given contracts, and guys that I've known for years, we're sitting like it's a civil war. You got the guys from Charlotte on one side of the dressing room, and then you got the guys from WWF on the other side of the dressing room. And then I'm going, we all grew up together. Why are you guys like this? And said, don't sit over there with those guys. And I'm going, what do you mean? I was just one of those guys. Okay, and I go sit with the Nasty Boys and Arn Anderson and Flair. Don't sit with that guys. And I go sit with them, and then Hulkster and Randy Savage and my really close friends, they'd go, don't sit with those guys. And I'm going, what are you guys talking about? I'm missing something here.